PayPal versus Payoneer for Indian freelancers. Just today, I received this message from Alexander Philip in Mumbai, and he wanted to ask me that I'm setting myself up as a freelancer on these freelance sites. Can you guide me in terms of whether I should opt for PayPal or Payoneer as a payment mechanism? And Alex, by the way, it was great to talk to you on the phone as well later in the day. See, the answer is pretty simple that unfortunately, at least at this point in time when I'm actually making this video, Payoneer is simply not an option at all for Indian freelancers. So PayPal is essentially the only option that we have. See, we do have direct bank transfers, but then that's again not a very good option because most of these freelance sites, at least Elance allows just one direct bank transfer, which is free of cost. Beyond that, it costs $25. And now with the dollar being 55 rupees to a dollar, I don't think you want to spend $25 just for a bank transfer, especially when it may well have additional charges. You don't know what exchange rate would be taken. The freelance sites are working in various ways towards making things as comfortable as possible. You can determine the exchange rate. You can at least ascertain the exchange rate which would be taken at the time the transfer is actually made. But I really feel it's not worth the trouble. Often these bank transfers take a lot of time, so that's again something which you want to keep in mind. So out of all the payment mechanisms which are there, there's PayPal, Payoneer, bank transfer, and there's money bookers. So I would really say that PayPal is the most feasible. PayPal, each time you can withdraw as much as you want, and up to there is a limit. In fact, it's not up as much as you want. It's like $3,000 for each transaction. But let's face it, how many of us actually have more than $3,000? Unless we are into big time web programming and web designing, and we have very large projects coming in, big payments coming in all likelihood our payments would be less than $3,000 at least in one go. And even if you have a bigger amount, what you can do is on PayPal you can always have, say if you have $5,000, you can break it down to two and a half, and you can have two transfers like that. So nonetheless, my advice to all Indian freelancers would be that it's PayPal which is the most feasible and suitable from all the options which are available to Indian freelancers at the moment. I have always rooted for Western Union, especially in the face of Payoneer not being there. Till Payoneer function in India, I am telling you honestly, I loved it, and it was the fastest, the most efficient. And people talk about the charges and the fees a lot, but I really don't think the fees. Okay, they were relatively high, but again, for the services offered, for the speed and the convenience, I think the fees was nothing really as such. Imagine getting money in minutes, not even hours. They would say that we'll load your card in 2 hours and we'll charge you, say, a $4 fee, and it would just take minutes, literally minutes. The money would be there. I could just hop across to an ATM. I could swipe it at a merchant. So those advantages were there with Payoneer, which are not there with the other payment mechanisms. So therefore, my advice to Indian freelancers would be that stick to PayPal. Money bookers is also good in terms of it works in very similar fashion to PayPal. You can transfer to money bookers and then to your bank account. Typically what I've seen is that it is faster, but it is expensive. There is a certain charge involved. Money booker Skrill is London based, so the currency, in turn you might have an additional currency conversion happening, wherein it might show as a euro or a British pound being taken. But then there's also an advantage with money bookers is the fact that at least money bookers balance is till date RBI has not put in any restriction in terms of the ability to use money bookers balance for making payments, whereas on PayPal there is a restriction. You cannot use money which comes to your PayPal account for making payments. You can all that you can do is that you can link your PayPal account to your credit or debit card and then make payments in such a way that it might seem as though you're using your PayPal account, but you're actually using your credit or debit card. Whereas on money bookers, you could actually use the money which is there in your balance, money bookers or Skrill account balance, for making payments. Like I've made, hosting payments, I've made, domain registration payments through my money bookers balance, which I got from my Elance account. So these are certain things. I would say that if it was a hierarchy, or if I was to rate the different payment modes, I would rate PayPal as number one at the moment. I'm not saying that PayPal is great. PayPal has its limitations. If you check out this video as well as this video, in both you'll see that I've raised certain issues which PayPal has. The first one talks about the exchange rate, as well as the time which it takes. In terms of the overall time that it takes for PayPal transfers to actually happen. So nonetheless, if it's a hierarchy, I would say that PayPal would be preferentially number one, followed by, I would say, money bookers. I would follow it up by direct bank transfer, and then unfortunately Payoneer is at the bottom. See, because Payoneer is in some ways there. Payoneer is offering direct bank transfers to Indian freelancers, but I don't know. I mean, there's no real point of it, the way I see it. There's no real point of it. Payoneer's advantage lies in the debit card, the prepaid debit card which they offer, which allows you to pretty much immediately, get money loaded and have it withdrawn from ATM. So that's where the value of Payoneer really lies, which RBI has killed. It has murdered the ability of, us Indians to actually use Payoneer in the right way in which it is used globally. Why it has done it, why Payoneer has still not been able to negotiate and work things out with the RBI wherein it functions the same way. Why can't we, as best as I understand, it's all about these taxation and hawala and RBI trying to control money laundering. Ultimately, money laundering and hawala and all these nefarious activities, black money in India, it's still happening. So how much ever they try to control, and it's a harassment for people trying to honestly make a living. It's an absolute bloody harassment. But that's the way it is. I still feel that if PayPal could work things out wherein we put in our PAN card accounts and numbers are there in our PayPal account, so our tax liabilities are, the ability to compute tax liability is always there. Something similar can be worked out in the case of Payoneer as well. Unfortunately, that has not been done yet. It's sad, but that's the way it is. I hope that in the near future, Payoneer, RBI, they're able to come together and work out a solution wherein we Indians can also use the the Payoneer debit card the way it is used globally. I'm optimistic, and let's hope for the best. So cheers on that note. And once again, Alex, it was great interacting with you. And I hope that through this video, all Indian freelancers who have questions on their mind or doubts about payment modes, they're relatively clear. And let me again put in a caveat that what I'm saying is true for the moment. So things can always change with time, but for the moment, as of now, what I've said is absolutely true, and I think you should follow my advice in terms of the payment modes that you opt for. Cheers.